Now we have here the simple future tense, and the simple future tense does not have as many categories as the simple present tense had, and this is relatively easy for us to understand. The simple future tense is used when the future is a fact. We all will die someday. This is a fact which is there in the future, right? So we all will die someday, and I will be 30 next year. Again, the future as a fact, right? Uh, the future as a possibility is also the simple future tense. Pakistan will win the match. So it's a possibility, almost a certainty in the future. It may rain tomorrow. We may become rich. So the simple future tense is basically the future as a fact. Something may happen in the future, something that is likely to happen in the future. The future as a possibility in which something is likely to happen in the future. So when you say as a fact, there is almost a certainty to it, and when you have a possibility, then also you can use the simple future tense. It's very simple and straightforward, and we will go and see the simple future continuous tense. The simple future continuous tense now, we use this tense to talk about events that would be in progress at some specific time in the future. Tomorrow at this time, so when you say tomorrow at this time, I would be writing my English paper. So this shows basically the continuity. This is the time frame that you have. This is the present moment, this is the present moment, this is the past, and what we have is the future here. In the future, at some specific point of time, if something is likely to happen, then you would say that tomorrow at this time I would be writing my English paper. The action would be would be continuing at some point in the future. I will be sitting with my parents at 7 p.m. So I would be sitting with my parents at 7 p.m. I would be sitting in the sense that I would be sitting, the action of sitting. We use the future continuous tense for planned actions as well. Many a time when we have some kind of planned action, we use the we use the future continuous tense. Tomorrow I will be leaving for London. So it's a planned action in the future, right? So I will be arriving by 5 p.m. So this is again a planned action, planned kind of event. This is basically. So again, the future continuous tense is very simple, straightforward, and we will see next the future perfect tense, slightly more complicated than the simple future tense. Now in this here, we have the future perfect tense and the future perfect continuous tense. Now let's try to understand here the future perfect tense. Uh, while the simple future tense expresses a likelihood of an event in the near or distant future, the future perfect tense expresses the completion of an action. So the simple future simply says that the action will happen. Please understand this. The action will happen is what the simple future is concerned about. But the future perfect is concerned about the completion of the action as a whole, right? So when you say that I will turn 30 next year, it is just something that will happen next year. But when you say next year, by this time I would have turned 30, something that by a certain time in the future would happen, right? For example, now this is the time frame, and you would say next year I will turn 30. So next year it's open and you will turn 30 at some point next, we don't know when, but you would say next year at this particular moment, that is on 31st of, let's say, March, I would have turned 30. Basically means that in the future at this moment of time an action would have got over, right? So you will say next year by this time I would have completed my engineering, right? So the future perfect tense basically looks at the future point where the action would get over. Completion of the action is the focus of the perfect tenses, right? The future perfect continuous tense, on the other hand, speaks about the progress, right? Like the past and the present perfect continuous tenses, the future perfect continuous tense too is used for actions in progress, not in the past and present but in the future. By next June I would have been working in this company for 3 years. So what you say here basically is that this is the present moment. Again, I am drawing this line here. This is the present moment. In the future, this is the future, and you would say that by next June, I would have been working in this company for 3 years. So this is basically what will happen. By next June, you would have been working for 3 years. In the future, you speak of continuity of some event that started in the past. This is a difficult and rare tense that we don't. It's very uncommon. We don't use it quite frequently, and that's why it might seem very awkward to us. So you will say that tomorrow at this time, we would have been studying in this institute for almost 3 years, right? So this is the future perfect continuous tense, seldom used in general conversation or writing. So this is all about the tenses. We have discussed the present tense, the past tenses, and we have discussed the future tenses as well. The most difficult of them all was the past perfect tense and the present perfect tense and the simple past tense. The difference between the simple past, the present perfect, and the past perfect. Once you've understood the difference between these three tenses, I think you more or less have understood the overall tenses used in the English language.